Hello my darlings, I don't know who's around today, but I just wanted to pop on because me and Al are buggering off to Camptown to Block this afternoon to see to see friends and have fun in the sun in a nice sunny beer garden and stuff. But I wanted to come on here partly because I was sort of intending on showing up during the week, but there was all sorts of other stuff going on too, so I didn't get around to it. And partially because I've been pondering some things as per fucking usual, and I also did want to remind those of you who may have missed my written post about this that up until Thursday this coming week, which will be the 21st I do believe, anyone who signs up for the Quantum Creation Group membership, any of the different options on payment, whether it's like the pay monthly or the 6 months or the 12 months in one go, doesn't matter, basically will receive an inclusive one-to-one session with me in their package, basically. So if you have things that you want to address, this could be ideal for you, partially because I'm not actually offering one-to-one anymore. I've just taken it down from my Podia thing altogether because I'm realizing that I do actually want to focus on group stuff and my digital stuff and the music stuff and all the rest of it, and literally from the point of view of wanting to make sure that my focus is on what I kind of am seeing going forwards, that I needed to make sure that it was actually focused in the right direction. But I do love, I love doing one-to-one with people that actually I'm already getting to know in a group context as well, because I think it sort of really helps me to understand kind of what's going on with the people I'm connecting with and bringing into this, I'm going to call it, network that I'm actually sort of building through this group. And it also helps people to understand where they're at, so that they can come into the group dynamic with a little bit more maybe insight than they possibly may have had, obviously depending on where you're at with stuff, kind of when you join or not, kind of thing. So it might be that you kind of feel like you fully know yourself and all the rest of it. It might be that you feel like you're a little bit off center with it, and you could do with just the insight that having an outside perspective can bring, quite apart from anything else. So when I'm doing one-to-one now, I'm looking at what you need to shift energetically, where you're at, where you may be possibly out of focus with what you want to create, where you might be in focus and not realizing it, what your particular challenges are because of the way that I work and because of the way that I read and all of that stuff. It's sort of it's all helpful for you to kind of see what might be going on internally with you that you might not be aware of, because it's kind of buried, that is affecting your external. I was having this conversation the other day, where are you, without realizing it, making yourself available for things that are not preferred, and where are you making yourself unavailable for the things that are? That's kind of what it boils down to, really. Quite often it's difficult for us to actually have a lens in for ourselves on this stuff, particularly if we're not used to doing the work on ourselves. And the Quantum Creation Group experience is all about basically being able to understand who you are, where you're at, where you're going, where you're out of focus, where you're in focus. How do you create what you want to create? How do you create it? Where are you trying to create, but you're actually missing the mark for whatever reason? Usually energetic underneath everything. It's usually energetic and to do with programming and stuff. Quite often it's difficult for us to see our own program. I've also got lots of other exciting stuff coming up that I'm working on right now. At some point in the next week, keep your eyes peeled, because I'm going to be putting out a really special thing that actually brings together so much of the stuff that I've been doing since effectively 2014. So it's bringing in the hypnotherapy element again and combining it with the energy work and all sorts of other stuff. Okay, so exciting things coming up, but I just did want to talk today about the fact that I think we're going back to that thing of like, where are you making yourself available for things that you don't desire? Like, from the point of view of looking at the way that we find ourselves sucked into data that we're presented with, that we decide to adopt as being a truth because we don't understand the quantum nature of the universe and basically how it is that we create from infinite possibility, and how it is that we get sucked into creating realities that we don't actually want on a human level. Now, from your soul's perspective, or your higher self's perspective, there is a part of you that sees everything that you go through as being grist for the mill, so to speak. So it's all an experience and there's no judgment of any of it. And from a human perspective, you very much know what it is that you prefer and don't prefer, right? We all do. And at the moment, we currently have a whole bunch of people, like, I would say, kind of what I keep sort of seeing in the craziness of the outside world is it's almost like what I would refer to as psychotic data going on, like where people are placing all of their power and energy into the external, which is what has been created previously, and have no awareness of how to create anything different. Now, some people are waking up to the fact that you can create differently. The simple fact of the matter is that there's a lot of people who haven't figured that out yet, and in actual fact, you know, it doesn't matter what walk of life you're in, like whether you would describe yourself as being spiritual or not, you know, we are all creative beings. There's not a single person on this planet that is not a creator. Okay, everybody is a creator slash creatrix, however you want to identify yourself in terms of gender terms. Basically, it doesn't matter. Everyone is a creator. The problem is that everyone's forgotten their power, how they create, so on and so forth. And this is what all my work's about. My work is about helping people to get back into alignment with that truth and actually start to come from the place of power rather than, I'm not going to say weakness, but rather than a place of dislocation, disconnect, like inner schism, basically, and actually get back into the driving seat of their life. If you're someone who doesn't feel like you're in the driving seat of your life, my work could very well be ideal for you. It doesn't matter how you would describe yourself. You know, it doesn't matter whether you're a journalist, a banker, a doctor, a lawyer, you know, a stay-at-home mum, a playgroup leader, care worker. It doesn't fucking matter. What really matters is that you are basically understanding that regardless of your chosen career path or any of that other stuff, your chosen like religious leanings, whatever, doesn't matter, your chosen gender, your chosen marital status, doesn't fucking matter. None of that matters in actual fact. What matters is that you understand your power to create whatever the fuck you like, regardless of what that is, whatever your starting point is now, and your ability to do that, and to do it from a space of self-understanding, self-awareness, self-realization, self-actualization, rather than that space of, oh, I could never possibly do that. That wouldn't be for me. I'd feel like an imposter. All of that other stuff, all of the stuff that comes up when people are basically disconnected from themselves. And I do see a lot of disconnection around. I was actually having this conversation with Harris this morning, one of my darling friends here on Facebook, who I've known for a few years now, and we discuss things like hither, thither and yon all the time. Harris had some interesting traumatic experiences growing up, as did I. One of the things that has come up quite a lot recently that I've been digging into layers of for myself is the whole concept or notion of shame, and where people carry shame and they're not aware of it. Now, Brene Brown obviously does a whole load of work on this, lots of very interesting work talking about what is shame, how do we deal with it, and so on and so forth. You know, how do we give it a voice so that we can actually work through it, so that we can then release it. I don't work the same way that Brene Brown or any of these other people do. I uncovered a whole bunch of shame when I was doing some energetic work to basically realign myself the other day, and this stuff that I didn't even realize was there came up, and I had this realization I want to share with all of you now, that ever since I was little, I have been shamed for my body, regardless of what size I've been, regardless of what shape I've been, regardless of how healthy I've been. I have had people project shame onto me since I was a kid for being to this, to that, to the other, fucking, you know, like stick a thing in there basically next to the two. So when I was younger, too skinny by my grandma, you know, she was constantly trying to fatten me up. My mum basically hither, thither and yon. Friends at school, like just this huge amount of judgment that people are passing around all the time. And I had this realization, like, one of the intrinsic problems with being human is that people are projecting all the time because of the fact that they are intrinsically unhappy with their own physical manifestation of themselves as a physical being in a body. And rather than dealing with that discomfort and actually looking at it, they have a tendency to then throw it out to other people, so trying to make them wrong for the way that their appearance is, because they don't want to look at themselves. And this is essentially the name of the nature of shame when it is being thrown around by people. The majority of the time, probably all of the time actually, without kind of delving into specific incidences, that I have experienced anyone attempting to shame me for anything, it's because on some level that person has been uncomfortable with themselves on that subject and hasn't wanted to look at it. So they've pushed it out to me, and me being incredibly empathic as a kid, used to just absorb all this stuff and make myself wrong for existing because these other people were throwing this stuff at me. Now, all it takes is a few sensitive people absorbing other people's bullshit like this, and you end up basically where you develop this, I'm going to say, sort of persona that's like deeply embedded in your body around, like, it doesn't matter what you do, you're wrong for doing it because everyone else has been telling you so in a million different ways all the way through. And I dare say, you know, when I look at the work that I do, like, this is one of the most powerful side effects of the work I do, because I don't, generally speaking, dig into dealing with this stuff directly, but that's what gets released and let go of as a result of the work that I do with people around taking charge of what you're actually creating. Because in order to create what you want, part of the process when you actually work in the way that I do and the way that I sort of teach other people to do it, when you're working with energy in this manner, and it's not the same way that everyone else does it, basically, is that other stuff peels off by itself, and it goes from something being something that you weren't aware of because you buried it so deeply because it was so painful, to actually coming up and showing itself to you on the way out in actually a really quite beautiful, fast process as it leaves. And you have you have like an evolutionary understanding that happens as a result of that. So you start to understand things like, I'm going to say this now and it might trigger some people, I don't know, the ridiculousness of shame as a tool for anything in the first place. It's only when you release it properly and see it for what it is and actually look at it in the face as it's leaving that you actually have this kind of simultaneous, what I call a paradoxical understanding of how much it's affected you, and also how fucking ridiculous it is. And if I could say anything right now, it would be like, I love doing this work with people and helping them to sort of develop these understandings for themselves, because it's like watching people set themselves free from all the shit that they've been carrying that's weighing them down, that they haven't even been aware of, but it's been there in the background like a fucking lead weight, basically, and it's been holding them back from living the lives that they really want to live. You know, the big dreams, the ones that you end up sort of thinking, oh, that's a pipe dream. If you have a dream okay, of anything, it doesn't matter what it is, you wouldn't have that dream if it wasn't possible for you. But the problem is most people are so caught up in all the reasons why they can't have it, most of which they can't see, that they end up either thinking, well, I could do it, but it would be really hard work and it would take far too long a time and and it's going to feel painful and I'm going to have to you know, and they attach all these excuses and reasons to why it's going to be too difficult for them, why it's not possible for them, so on and so forth. Or they just flat out don't believe it's possible for them at all because they've been so beaten down by their experiences in life so far and they haven't connected with the actual truth of who they are. And frankly, that's no fucking good. You know, for want of a better way of putting it, that's no fucking good. Ultimately, you are here to be, do, have, whatever it is that your soul, that your heart is really desiring. The chances are that you've probably been through enough experiences and indoctrination in your life up to this point that you may well believe that these dreams that you have are just like fantasy rather than actually something that's possible for you. I'm here to say to you right now, nothing is impossible. Nothing is out of your reach. I'm here to remind you of that fact. I will be back on a regular basis to do so. And if you are actually ready to take the bull by the horns and do something about changing, shifting your paradigm so that you can easily receive, experience, etc., the truth of who you are and what you're capable of, then you're very welcome to connect with me via DM or, you know, or email. You can email us at dynamicintention.net. You can obviously DM me here on Facebook or on Instagram. Or stick something in the comments if you end up watching this on YouTube, because I'm going to put this on YouTube as well, and say, you know, tell me more about working with you. You know, like, what are the options right now? It doesn't matter. I'd say right now, like, from a budget point of view, it doesn't matter where you're at. I have made sure, you know, there's free stuff on YouTube. I have digital products for people who aren't currently in a position to be able to sign up for the group program, or there's a group program for it when you really want to dive into it and you are ready to take that leap for yourself. And I will say right fucking now, it's really, 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 really important that at some point in your life, regardless of where you've been, that you decide to actually take a chance on yourself and realize that not only are you capable of so much more than you realize, but there is help available for you there, you know, but you have to be able to take that step towards it. Now, it might be that my work isn't exactly the right thing for you. It might be that it is. I know there's certain types of people that really resonate with what I do. They tend to be feisty motherfuckers like me. Basically, I'm very blunt. I'm very direct with the way that I do things. I've always been very honest about stuff, and so, you know, if you're one of these people that requires a lot of sugar coating, you might not get on with the way that I do stuff. Ultimately, you know, I've always been very loving with the way that I present myself and all the rest of it, you know, because at the end of the day, the truth of who I am is love. But, you know, I'm not going to mince my words if I see you sabotaging yourself like a motherfucker, okay? You know, maybe that's not your cup of tea, but I do invite you to connect with me and just have a chat to me about what the, you know, what the possibilities are for working with me, and also, you know, just share with me kind of like what it is that you kind of have this desire to do that you don't fully believe that you can, and basically, you know, I might end up giving you a bit of a pep talk about kind of believing in yourself more or whatever. But ultimately, I am here. You can connect with me. You can send me a DM. Please don't send me DMs asking me what my phone number is and can we have a long chat about blah 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 blah. No, there are, you know, there are some sort of boundaries on this stuff. But yeah, if you are looking at wanting to transform your life and you want to, maybe you don't have a clue where to start, send me a DM. Ask me about what the options are for working with me. If you turn around and say, I'm really skint at the moment, I can't afford to pay for anything, I will direct you to my YouTube channel. You can tell me kind of like what the issues are that you've got going on, and I will probably point you in the direction of certain videos I've got up on there. Okay. Or we can talk about, you know, what products in my digital shop might be suitable for you, or, you know, what the options are for joining the Quantum Creation group. But don't ever feel that you're alone and that there is not something there that's available for you to take steps forward for yourself and actually bet on yourself, and actually what you see for yourself in your mind's eye that you haven't been connecting with for whatever reason. Okay, it might be that you're creatively blocked. It might be that your intuition is all over the fucking place and up the wazoo and you can't connect with that. It could be that you've got like some kind of background of abuse or trauma or whatever. Trust me on this, you know, the majority of the clients I've worked with have been through all sorts of stuff in their backgrounds, myself included. It's one of my, I'm not going to say one of my specialities, but I do, when I work with this stuff and I can help people to actually turn this stuff around, it's really deeply satisfying for me just to watch you blossom and grow. Anyhow, I'm going to send you all lots of love and leave you to ponder all of this stuff. If you check the comments for this live stream, or you go into the drop down box on YouTube, I'll probably put some stuff on the screen as well around this. You can basically, there'll be links to connect you to ways that you can either inquire about working with me or look at actually what the options are. I'm sending you lots of love. Mwah! Have a wonderful Sunday, or whatever day it is that you end up watching this, and I will speak to you all again soon. Bye for now.